All right, sorry for that delay, y'all. Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Welding Beyond Convention, a guide to large area fabrication and welding solutions. My name is Mike Monin, and I am the General Manager of Sales and Marketing here at OTC DAIHEN. Before we get started, I'm going to go through some of the housekeeping. We're all familiar with webinars and Zoom calls, but I just want to refresh everybody's memory, because here we use GoToWebinar. It's a little different than everything else. So if you're having any technical difficulty, reach out to our support staff via the chat function that's built into GoToWebinar. We want to make sure that you have a valuable and effective use of your time. So throughout the webinar, you can also submit questions. We do encourage that. We will hold those and have a question and answer session at the end of today's webinar. If you're joining via the computer, that question panel can be found in the control panel on the right side of your screen. For those that are joining via Android or iOS, the question panel can be accessed via the question mark icon, which is at the top or bottom of your screen, so a little bit different, depending on what device you're tuning in on. When we close the webinar, there'll be a survey that automatically appears, and we encourage you to respond to that. Please complete the survey, as feedback is really greatly appreciated. Plus, there's a question in there which is, hey, what kind of content you want to see in the future? So this is your opportunity to form what we do going forward. I'm going to intro with a little bit of a dad joke. Well, I was going to tell a welding joke, and a great one at that, but all the good ones are gone. So some quick background on myself. I'm a graduate of The Ohio State University in electrical engineering. For the past 35 years, I've been actively involved in factory automation, from robot programming and controls design to machine vision project engineering and application development, to sales and promotion of robots and integrated systems, to my role over the past 5 years here at OTC DAIHEN, guiding our sales and marketing teams and activity. To summarize, I spent the last 35 years going from an electrical engineer who was avoiding short circuits, like letting the smoke out of that resistor there, to leading a welding company trying to make short circuits happen. It's kind of a dichotomy there, but I like to consider myself a member of the Dead Short Society now. That said, I'm going to avoid getting on top of my desk here and shouting my captain, like Robin Williams in the movie Dead Poets Society, for anybody familiar with that 1989 movie. All right, let's get to work here. Today's webinar is really going to be centered around our product that reaches out into large area fabrication, and the brand of that product line is XTEND-ARC. We're going to talk about the solutions that you have and use as well, but we'll be going back and pointing out those products we have in that product family for manual welding. We are also introducing a new product today, so please pay attention as we go forward and join us in introducing that brand new product. And with that, we've got our first poll here. This webinar is going to be interactive, and you can start with the poll right now, but remember when those adults in your life said you'll get as much out of it as you put into it? Well, this is what they were talking about, and this is your first chance to tell us how it is in your world with our first poll today. So, what is the farthest distance away from the welding power source you need to weld? And let's take a look at those poll results. And predominantly with 50%, people want to be able to weld 13 feet away from the power source with aluminum and 20 feet away from steel. And a couple of, I guess, second place is a three-way tie. Some people want to really get out there over 100 feet. Some people want to go 40 feet, but some people just as far as they need to weld at their weld station. There'll be some items of value in today's webinar for those people that answered. I just need to be able to weld at my weld station, but this is predominantly for people that need to weld farther out. So let's get into it and take a look at what we're going to try and cover today. So we're going to come back and review all these welding myths at the end of our presentation today. These are some of the leading opinions when it comes to large area fabrication gospel within the welding community. Hopefully you're already aware of some of these myths and are busting them in your normal day-to-day operations. So we'll start out and really dig into how to get wire out there and seriously sling it. From the basic stuff of just your wire feeder and weld power source, maybe just sitting on the floor, to getting it onto a trolley, maybe extending your range by taking your feeder out with you, doing some things to get the wire feeder up overhead, and all the way through to what we'll introduce today with what we've already got in the market and a push-pull torch, and the new reveal today is our inline assist wire feeder. Before we jump into all that though, we want to get to the equipment options and solutions that exist to help you break those welding gospel myths. And let's talk about public enemy number one. It's my buddy here, aluminum. Let's kick that conversation off with our second poll. What challenges do you face when welding aluminum parts? And let's take a look at those results. Predominantly, welds get too hot with 54% here. And then another three-way tie for too cold. Don't have the advanced pulse welding technology that you really need, or constantly nagging feed issues. And I think we're going to talk about a little bit of all of those. But the reason I bring up aluminum, let's jump back into the presentation here, is that trying to feed aluminum wire is really like pushing rope, right? It's very difficult. So why not start with the hard stuff? And then if you can feed aluminum, yeah, you can probably feed everything else. Becomes just a whole lot easier. So to talk a bit about your experience with feeding aluminum, let's see what your current situation is for those of you that are welding with aluminum in your current system by looking at poll number 3 here. And how far from your current source, this is really your current situation, how far from the source can you weld aluminum with your current system? Give everybody a second to respond to that. And let's take a look at those results. So most people are able to get out to about 10 feet, which is pretty typical, right? Few folks on here can get out 20 feet. Few folks don't weld aluminum at all. Bear with me because I'm using aluminum as the example of getting feed reliability, but we're going to show you some solutions that can get you well beyond the conventional welding distances of 10 to 13 feet. And we'll talk about our products when we do that. I'm going to shut that off and we're going to dig into this. Okay, so when feeding aluminum, welcome to school, right? Do a little bit of education here on feeding aluminum and really how to get aluminum pushed out 13 feet, how to combine with a push-pull system to get out to almost 40 feet, and then the ultimate, how to push-pull aluminum out 100 feet and beyond so you can push it an additional 13 feet. Before we get too deep into that, let's take a look at the aluminum wire. On the left, you can see some examples of, these are really commercially available aluminum wire from very reputable suppliers. And you can see the variety of quality of surface finish that you're getting on these wires when you put it under a microscope. From the tree bark looking wire there on the upper left to what was really a pretty good looking wire down on the lower right. I'm not going to reveal the brands of these wires, but it is people who make very good aluminum wire, and just the variation in their process. So you got a real challenge when you're trying to feed something that is pitted or looks like tree bark there. How do you drive aluminum? Well, conventional thinking is you use a U profile drive roll like you see over here. And I'm here today to tell you that's a bad choice. And it leads to this, shavings, which either accumulate in the bottom of your wire feeder or make their way out through the liner of your torch, tear things up, destroy tips, all the bad stuff. And the reason why is you've essentially created a situation where you're planing off pieces of aluminum as the wire somewhat twists through the feeding process. You're essentially creating planes on these points right here, these sharp points. And the net result is obviously not good. You're not going to get consistent feed reliability out of a U profile drive roll. So what is best? This is proven in our experience feeding aluminum. It is a proven winner, and that is a V/U profile drive roll. So you can see the V shape here that actually contacts the wire. I would argue that you're going to contact the wire on 4 points, probably regardless of what you use. And even with this situation here, you're never going to match the profile of the wire. So you're always going to be contacting at 4 points, 2 with the upper drive roll, 2 with the lower drive roll. But the difference here is are these curved sections, no sharp edges, right? So there's no way to either knock the bark off or to, even on clean wire, peel off the edges. And a leading supplier of wire even has numbers for these radii, and that is this major diameter here should be 60% of the wire diameter, and this minor diameter here should be 30% of the wire diameter. That's pretty close to the geometry we use. Of course, our profile geometry is proprietary to DAIHEN, but built on the experience that we have reliably feeding aluminum wire. We're going to take a look here at the anatomy of our wire feeder. From the wire reel on the left here all the way through to the torch tweako connection on the right hand side. Our setup is a little bit unique, but really built from our experience of feeding aluminum wire. And it begins from the reel through a little UHMW inlet here, and don't want this to be, it is school, but I don't want it to be too much of a science project. UHMW is a low coefficient of friction comparable to Teflon, and it just means it's slippery, right? It gives a little bit, and it allows the wire to slide easily across it. So any place we're going to transfer wire from one contact point to another, we use that material, and instead of steel or something like that, that could lower the ability of the wire to slide across it, or potentially even damage the wire, it being soft like it is. From there, it goes through a wire straightener, and this is really here just to remove the form-in cast from the wire, whether it's coming from a spool, 8-inch, 12-inch, or coming out of a barrel. It's got some diameter that it was formed to, just to package it, and this is meant to remove that. So 3 contact points here, acts to straighten the wire out. It does transfer through another guide and into our 4-wheel drive system. So this is a bit unique in that all 4 wheels are moving and pulling the wire to push it out to the torch. Of course, we're using the combo V/U profile drive rolls for aluminum wire, and the center guide in here, which just contains the wire as it moves from drive roll to drive roll, is also made out of that UHMW material. And then feeding to an outlet guide that transitions into the Tweco connector, and the torch lead is another UHMW guide. Off. Now, how to set feeding tension with a aluminum wire feed system. So here you can see the broader view, obviously the wire feed, the inlet guide, the aluminum kit, which is wire straightener, the drive rolls, including the center guide, and then the outlet guide over here to the Tweco torch, which you can see on the far right hand side. So when this video plays, you're not going to hear my voice. So let me talk a little bit about what Larry's doing here. And that is, he's set the tension of this wire such that when you restrict the wire out at the end of the torch here, it slips. You want to have slippage. Slippage is good. That just means you're not going to bird nest inside the feeder. So let's take a look at that video and him setting up tension. All right, so you saw as Larry restricted the flow of the wire, it would slide through the mechanism. In other words, there was enough slippage there that you're not going to force in bird nest wire. Now, this is an actual demo of customers here that are producing trailers. It's Extreme Trailer, one of our good customers. These are 13-foot torches, so we feel very confident in your ability to push aluminum wire out 13 feet. And let's take a look at these guys who use it on a daily basis and experience extreme reliability with the technology. So 13 feet is easily attainable with the DAIHEN really feeding technology. But let's talk about some other ways to get farther out. And another product we have is our XTEND-ARC family push-pull torch. This torch allows you to get 39 feet beyond the wire feeder. Comes in both a air-cooled and a water-cooled version. Comes in pistol grip or standard grip, but it incorporates our IntelliTorch technology, and that is the ability to remote control your weld process via the directional pad and built-in display that's built into the handle of the torch. It's really designed to be easy to use, even with your welding glove on. It's very responsive. It also includes a built-in headlight, so if you're working in an area that is really restricted access, meaning that there isn't a lot of light back in there, you're trying to see your work, this will certainly help you do that. And this works in synchronization with our push feeder, so we need to be able to push aluminum out to it so that it can pull it the rest of the way. And let's take a look at a demo, which is walking through the user interface of this product.
We're talking about the startup screen and programming screen of the DAIHEN push-pull torch. First comes up the DAIHEN logo along with the firmware version. We have a D-pad below the screen that allows us to do the navigations and settings on this. The primary settings come up. First is the welding current. This is the setting from the last power off of the unit. Using the right control, the next screen comes up is the wire feed speed setting. Next to that is the welding voltage setting. And next to that is the synergic value of the arc length tuning. The last screen is the job or program number. We go back to the welding current by using the up or down buttons. We can control the amperage from the handle. Next over would be the wire speed. We can go down or up in the wire speed. Next one over would be the voltage. We can go up or down in the voltage. And lastly is the arc length tuning or synergic setting. Use the up and down screens for that. Lastly is the job or program number. And as we scroll through these numbers, we can see at the bottom of the screen where the amperage and voltage change that correspond to the programs that we call out. By holding the right-hand button down, we can load up another program. Getting into the secondary screen, we push and hold the left button until the screen changes. First option up is inching. We can switch to the right to inching and call out and look at the inching speed. This one is 250 inches a minute. In the auto inching, we can push the right button again and it will feed the wire out. In this case, it's preset for 250 inches a minute. We can scroll up and down to change that speed. The job save allows us to go in and look at jobs that are there and change those programs to call up a new program or save the program that's there. The arc control allows us to make adjustments to the arc control, which is a fine-tuning of our arc. The wave frequency allows us to go in and adjust the frequency in our wave pulse programs, either in DC wave pulse or AC wave pulse. The EN ratio allows us to adjust the ratio between positive and negative on our AC MIG machines. The version allows us to check the software version of this torch. The log allows us to check total welding time and max temperature. So in this case, this is a brand new torch and we see no welding time. And we see that the ambient temperature here is 27 degrees. The torch load is an indication of the power required to feed the wire. This is useful in examining the torch load differences and helps us know when to change liners and contact tips. The gas check allows us to feed gas or purge the gas from the torch handle without having to go back to the power source. And then we're back to inching. To go back to the main screen, we push and hold the left button again, and we're back to the primary controls. Another nice feature with our push-pull torches is the headlight. It allows us to get into dark areas and be able to see where we're making the weld. The light comes on by pushing the left-hand button and holding it until the light comes off, and then we can turn it off the same way.
I will say before I get into this new product introduction that all of these videos you can see are running off of our YouTube site. And for everybody that attends and those that were unable to attend, the video recording that'll be sent to you will include links to those videos, so you'll be able to view them over again. Let's talk about what is new and really the future here, and that is our XTEND-ARC Inline Assist Feeder. Very pleased to announce this product for the US and Canada market, and it really expands greatly the range of our welding systems. 100 feet plus beyond the wire feeder. If you can see, I can put my wire feeder out 20 feet, gain the 100 feet that the inline assist feeder delivers, and then push aluminum the rest of the way to our Blue Torch 3 series Tweco style torches. So it includes the IntelliTorch style remote control that you saw on our push-pull torch, that same directional pad and display unit. It's extremely lightweight, so this thing is meant to be very portable. And because it's going to be portable, in some cases drug around your operation, it needs to be durable. So it's a very rugged construction with built-in skids on both the top and bottom of the unit, which really extend to the sides of the unit. So it's got a nice handle there. If you do want to carry it by hand, you can attach a strap to it as well and throw that over your shoulder. It does work in synchronization with our push feeders. So these two, much like the push-pull torch, work in unison to get the wire fed out. And let's go through a demonstration now of the user interface and a better look at the unit from Larry, our welding engineer.
We're showing our assist feeder here. Uses a standard Welby power source, a standard wire feeder. We've got an adapter to the wire feeder to our umbilical. The umbilical cable can be 10, 20 meters or combinations of the two to extend out to the assist feeder. The assist feeder here allows us to take wire that's pushed out from the standard 4-roll feeder to here and support longer distances and more complex areas to get into. The final component is a standard push type torch. No push pull here, standard torch, standard consumables. The assist feeder has skids mounted on the top and the bottom, allow us to move it around. It also has control features that allow us to make changes without having to go back out to where the power source is. This is a tour of the OTC XTEND-ARC Inline Assist Feeder user interface. On startup, the DAIHEN logo comes up, followed by the firmware version. The system is controlled with a D-pad, 4-way control, for the navigation and selection of program parameters. The welding current is initially called up from the last use or last program when the machine was shut down. The next screen to the right is the wire feed speed. The next screen is the welding voltage. The next screen is the arc length tuning, which is the synergic value. And the last screen is the job or program number of safe programs in the Welby. We go back to the current, and we have, using the up and down selectors on the 4-way, we can change the welding current from our remote location, either up or down. Switching over to the wire speed, we can do the same there. We can raise or lower the wire speed of our program. We can also go to the voltage, lowering the voltage or raising the voltage to tune in our arc. Next is a arc tune selection of the value, of the synergic value. We can raise and lower that value. We decide we want to go back to and select a job, the saved jobs. We can select any of the preset values. You hold the right button and it shows that value loading, and we're back to, in this case, program 3. So from the prime menu, we can hold the left-hand button down and get into the sub-menu for secondary settings on the assist feeder. The first option that comes up is inching. If we right-click over, it shows the inching speed, which we can adjust with up and down changes. And then as we hold the right-hand button, we can actually inch the wire. Going back, the auto inching function, if we hold that, allows us to feed wire all the way from the primary feeder out to the assist feeder into the torch. This allows us to start this without having to continually hold the button until the wire is fed the entire distance. The job save allows me to go in and modify a program or look for a program that is not saved and save my existing program or my changes to a new program by holding the right button until the save screen shows. Next one is arc control. Allows me to fine-tune the arc from the assist feeder. Wave frequency. If we are in a pulsed program, a wave pulse program, we can adjust the wave frequency, the hertz, from the control here. If we are using the W400, which is an AC MIG machine, we can adjust the EN ratio from this point here. In this case, we don't have a W400 hooked up, so the program will not accept the changes. The version, very helpful when calling in for service and looking for help. It helps us understand what version of software and firmware is in this unit to help us understand and make any suggestions and changes. The log screen tracks two things. First is total welding time, and second is max temperature. And then there is a clear screen that you can hit on the right that will clear that and will get you back to reset values. The feeder load, which shows the amperage draw on the feeders and helps us to change out the liners when needed. Gas check settings, which allows us to purge gas from this screen. Cable length, which is initial setup. The model of the assist feeder. And back to the inching screen. Holding the left-hand button again takes us back to our primary setting screens. Another feature on the left-hand button is gets you back. It allows us to turn a light on if we're down in a dark area like the bows of a ship. We can see what's going on with our feeder. We're able to get in there and see what's going on and make adjustments and check our feedability and our feeding system. Push that again and it shuts off.
All right, pretty exciting. Very pumped about this new product. It is going to change the game if you're trying to get farther away from your welding power source. And I couldn't be more excited to introduce this product today. Of course, I put this picture up on social media a few weeks ago because when I look at the inline assist feeder, it reminds me of a python that just ate very, very well. A couple of things in that video I wanted to point out. I think you saw on the push-pull torch that the settings were in English units. And then with the inline assist feeder, don't know if you recognize it or not, but they were in metric units. So you can switch back and forth if your operation is set on one or the other. Of course, in the US here, mostly English units. I also wanted to point out that literature is available for this new product, and it's attached to the webinar. So if you go to the handouts, and I included one for the push-pull torch in there as well. So with that, let's get into our fourth poll. So what features of the new inline assist feeder caught your interest? Give everybody a chance to respond. Let's take a look at those results. So yeah, it is the best feature of this thing, and that is the ability to get very far away from your welding power source. This thing is extremely portable, very easy to use. I also like the fact that it uses conventional push torches. That's a very cost-effective solution when you think about replacing a push-pull torch and the cost of that to a conventional push torch, very inexpensive to replace. A few other things here, people like the ability to control it locally. I think you have to have that, right? You're not going to walk 120, 130 feet back to the welding power source to make changes. You need to be able to do that on board the unit, and it is extremely durable. So it's a very good product. Excited about what it opens up for you guys. Let's move forward here. So why do you require large welding range in your fabrication department? Well, oftentimes the part drives that necessity. Also, weld locations that require a lot of traversal around the weldment can justify it. You know, where each weld is a different geometry, thickness, or material, or maybe your weld sequence requires that repositioning to manage the heat input on the part. Of course, there are hazards to avoid in any manufacturing environment, including most welding operations, but tripping over components, and many of these with sharp edges. If you're up in a structure or need to climb to get to the welds, you know, that potential to fall from heights, and if you're working in enclosed spaces, of course. And then getting away from the part while it's being brought in, craned in, or fork truck in, you can't be in that space, so you really need to be out away from it. If it's being relocated or reoriented, you can't be in that area. And the fact that power and gas are typically coming from some fixed location in your facility, and they're typically some distance away from your weldment, so all that needs to be carried over. So how to expand that welding workspace, and we gave you two great ideas already with the inline assist feeder and our push-pull torch. But you really, some other added benefits are to enhance your mobility, to get the wire feeder and the torch out across the floor. To be able to clear the workspace, right? Just to have the ability to navigate around the environment, you know, thinking 20-foot radius or something, to be able to work within that 20 to 60-foot range unobstructed just improves efficiency. And then that inline assist feeder, I mean, look at how far beyond even our other options here of a boom mounted feeder or suitcase feeder. Look at how far that gets you beyond that normal welding range. It's a game changer. We showed a video of one of our good customers, but this is something that you can really do on your own. And so how about a few things that are DIY, right? So this is our welding trolley, but think about the mobility that a trolley delivers when you need to weld beyond your torch lead length. For a relatively small investment, and our fancy one that you see on the left is $625. The more basic one that our customer Extreme Trailer is using there is a little under $600. Or even just putting casters on the bottom of the power source in our set is about $175. You get mobility, and if you've got mobility, you can do quite a bit more with your welding operation. Another thing that you can do yourself, hanging your wire feeder overhead to gain workable space. So hang it on an inexpensive winch, which you can raise and lower to access when you need to either put new wire in there or make adjustments. Or how about the customer here on the far right-hand side, who combined a unistrut rail with a sliding carriage, delivering much more mobility to their wire feeder. Again, these are ways you can clear your workspace and take advantage of expanded range of motion of your wire feeder. In our XTEND-ARC family, we have another option, which is a wire feeder dolly. So this extends the reach of our wire feeder up to 66 feet. It supports clip-on, so it easily attaches and allows it to be pulled around on the floor via its 4 caster wheels. I mean, this could probably be done by yourself as well. We only charge a little over $200 for ours, and it comes with some added benefit of being able to combine it with our other products. You can see our dolly mounted onto the trolley, so it goes onto the swivel feeder mount and just allows you to use it either on or off the weld power source trolley. Some more of our XTEND-ARC product, we have suitcase wire feeders. These are very portable and very durable. We don't make the case, so it's a commercially produced and commercially grade enclosure with the clamshell lid for easy access to the mechanism and the wire reels. Our 8-inch version is a little over $2,500, and our 12-inch version is a little over $2,600. And this eliminates the need for the conventional wire feeder. It replaces it with this unit. You will need to add extension cables from your welder to this feeder to make it work, but it's a pretty reasonable alternative. And let's look into the justification case for this. Back to that trailer customer who, by adding the suitcase feeder, was actually able to gain 15% more arc-on time. That's an additional 1.2 hours of every welding production workday. Through that additional production, they are able to gain $190 a day in sales profit. You're making more, you're going to make more money from the product that you're delivering out the door. So their suitcase feeder upgrade, in this case, the 12-inch version, paid for itself in 3 work weeks. That's a tremendous justification. We also have overhead booms in the XTEND-ARC family. These are an overhead boom mounted wire feeder to get the cable, hoses, and feeder up off the floor. We have an electric actuated lift arm, so you can lower the wire feeder to add a wire reel or change the wire reel, and to also service or set up the feeder. We have both single arm and dual arm. The dual arm gives you the advantage of 3 points of articulation, allowing it to sweep completely through your work area. Now we have 3 models of those. The SPED 306, which is only the lifting arm piece, gives you 10 feet of sweep at an 8-foot installation height, and that goes for $1,600. The 606 expands that by adding the swivel arm to the lifting arm, giving you 20 feet of sweep at that same 8 feet of installation height, and that goes for a little over $2,000. And then the larger one, which increases that installation height up to 10.5 feet, is still giving you the 20 feet of sweep, is $2,400. So these are very cost-effective solutions. And I encourage you to take a look at the literature for this product, which is attached in the handouts of this presentation. Now the two we've already talked about today are XTEND-ARC push-pull torch and our brand new XTEND-ARC Inline Assist Feeder. Very cost-effective solutions. Talk about push-pull. To upgrade your Welby to a 39-foot air-cooled push-pull torch is $2,760. To upgrade that to a 39-foot water-cooled version of it is $4,125. For each of those, you do need to upgrade the wire feeder, and that is a one-time fee per wire feeder of $1,250. So, and I'll go through in the next slide a case study showing how that can easily be justified in a short amount of time. The brand new Inline Assist Feeder allows you to upgrade your current Welby to a 20-meter length for $9,375, or to upgrade to the full 30-meter length for $10,484. Also very easy to justify considering you're expanding your work range ×3. So let's look at a case study for the push-pull torch. So this was a shipbuilding customer. They were able to improve efficiency by 25%. I think that's due to the fact that you have full control of the process from the handle of the torch. So you have no need to go back to the welding power source or the wire feeder. That resulted in 2 hours each day of additional weld production. That resulted to them in $220 of additional sales profit each day. And this upgrade was paid for in 4 work weeks. So tremendous results for this shipbuilding customer. And now we're toward the end here, and we had talked about the myths that exist within the work envelope of large area fabrication. And let's go through each of these myths. Obviously, we've shown that it's very reliably able to push feed soft aluminum wire 13 feet beyond the wire feeder. We do that every day, and we've been doing that for probably the last 10 years with our most recent technology. Push-pull torches are unreliable and expensive. Well, we showed you and proved to you in a use case that our XTEND-ARC push-pull torch series delivers high reliability at a very reasonable price and pays for themselves in short orders. We saw that they pay for themselves within the first month of use. Pull torches are your only option for large area fabrication. We showed you many different versions to get from benchtop welding, reaching all the way out to the new inline assist feeder, 120 feet away from your welding power source. So the final one here, large area fabrications are a safety liability nightmare of tripping hazards and heavy lifting requirements. They certainly are, but by implementing some of our technology, most notably the booms, in getting things up off your floor, you're going to reduce the risk of your employees getting hurt when they're navigating that environment. All right, we've come to the end of our time today. As a reminder, there will be a survey once we close out and complete this event. Everyone will also receive a follow-up email, which includes a link to a recording of this presentation. I want to take a look at questions if you have any. Now's your chance to get those in. I've got one question in here. I'm interested in the demonstration of that new inline assist feeder. Where do I start? Great question. Reach out to us. You can either contact me directly or get on our website. There's an opportunity on there to make inquiries, including sales and demonstration inquiries. I would encourage you to request a demonstration. That goes for any of our technology on the XTEND-ARC family, to request a demonstration of the product either by us or one of our advanced welding partner distributors. Another question, maybe I wasn't clear about the inline assist feeder. It is available now, and I did give you the price range between $19,000 and $20,000, depending on what distance you want to get extended beyond the WELBY weld power source. And let's take one last question here. And that is, what can I do today to improve the reliability of my aluminum wire feeding in order to reduce tip consumption and enhance our welding production? I would absolutely look into that combo VU drive roll. It does reduce that shaving situation that comes off of aluminum wire, and I think it will greatly improve the reliability of your system. With that, that concludes today's webinar. Thanks again for joining us, and everyone stay safe and have a great day. Remember to stick around. The survey will pop up as soon as I end this event. Thank you.